So today we have probably the last mod for the M3, but I promise you guys, this is gonna be a good one. I've been teasing you guys with this mod for a little while now, but today we're finally gonna install it. So if I didn't already spoil it in the title and the thumbnail, this is what that new mod is. What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So as you guys saw, we have a custom steering wheel for my G80 M3, and this isn't just any custom steering wheel, guys. This thing, if you guys can't tell, mimics the LCI style on the new M3s because currently, well, my car is a pre-LCI technically at this point, which is pretty crazy. The 2025 M4 and M3 now have some like slightly different designs. One of the more major ones being their steering wheel. So in my 23 M3, this is what my steering wheel looks like. The sun is probably making it look a little harsh, but as you guys can tell, it's a little thicker over here. Overall, it's a really nice design. Like, there's nothing wrong with this design. BMW didn't really follow the if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but hey, they still improved the steering wheels and they made them look more like this one, which you guys can tell is skinnier over here, has a flat bottom. Overall, looks pretty similar. By the way, yes, the actual BMW ones also come with a red racing stripe. I'm not sure if the original BMW ones come in Alcantara. I think they still come in leather, except they just have this design. But, you know, someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But regardless, I got Alcantara because, as you guys know, I installed the Alcantara armrest. I did the Alcantara knee pads. So the Alcantara steering wheel was the last piece I needed to finish it up. So I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Inline 6 Auto for sending me out this steering wheel. If you guys want one, of course, there'll be some links down in the description below. There's a whole bunch of different websites that sell these steering wheels, like the LCI look. But I'll just say this, guys, Inline 6 Auto is the most reasonably priced. And on top of that, there's still that discount code you guys can use to get an additional 5% off. So check out the links in the description as well as the discount code. You also can do some additional customization to it, like if you want something else besides a red racing stripe, I don't know, maybe yellow or blue, whatever matches your car. Personally, I want the red because I feel like that's just sort of classic. Also, you can just generally customize a steering wheel. If you don't want an LCI style one, you can just like your normal one, except just maybe Alcantara. Maybe you want like carbon and leather. But personally, guys, I think this is an amazing look. By the way, guys, I apologize in advance about the sun. Unfortunately, it's a very, very sunny day. Literally no clouds. It's beaming right on my face and I might be sweating a lot. So apologies in advance. But anyways, so taking off the steering wheel on this M3 is pretty identical to any other BMW. Obviously, we first disconnected the battery. As you guys can tell, the car has no power. With that said, after you disconnect your battery, we have to obviously disconnect our airbags so that way we can get to the bolt and the connections behind it. So to do that, again, very similar to other BMWs, there should be a slit right over here in your steering wheel. You guys aren't going to be able to see it, but you know, if you're doing this, you'll definitely be able to see it. There it goes. So the airbag now out, there's a bolt right over here we have to remove. I believe this is a Torx 60, which I'm not sure if I even own. So we might have to make a run to a hardware store. But let's see if I can find one. So thankfully, I actually do have a T60, and just to confirm, yep, this is definitely a T60. But just keep that in mind, guys. If you're doing this for some older BMWs, it's a, I think like 16 mil socket. This one is a little more nuanced. A T60 isn't exactly a common bit. So if you guys are gonna do this, just make sure you have one. All right, so with all that out, we should be able to just remove the steering wheel. By the way, can we just admire how cool this M3 looks without a steering wheel? With this big screen, looks pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to work. So now with the original steering wheel out of the car, we're gonna start transferring everything from this wheel into the new wheel. And by the way, since we have them side by side, if it wasn't clear before, guys, this is the LCI look. This is the pre-LCI. This is a totally round steering wheel. This one is a true flat bottom, which is gonna be cool, especially if you're a little taller, because that's gonna give you a little more knee room. But also, you guys can see this design right over here is totally different on the LCI. It actually has some cutouts over there. And by the way, yes, this is all carbon as well, so it should match the rest of my interior. Oh, and then of course the red racing stripe. That's also specific to the LCI, but with a custom steering wheel, you can also still customize that. Yeah, otherwise that's the difference if you guys couldn't tell before. But there's a few things to note before we move on. Some things that you guys really need to consider if you're gonna go this route. One, you're gonna lose your heated steering wheel function. If you guys care about that, maybe not the route to go. Also, you're gonna lose the vibration function. Basically, like for the safety features and all that, your steering wheel will sometimes vibrate. You're also gonna lose that. And then the last thing to note, which is actually a nice thing, is the new steering wheel will come with some carbon paddle shifters. So if you guys don't have the carbon trim already, and you want a carbon steering wheel and you want carbon paddle shifters to match, your new steering wheel will come with carbon paddle shifters, one that will match identical the OEM BMW ones. So that way, if you have a carbon steering wheel, you'll also have carbon shifters. So the first thing we have to do is take off the paddle shifters. So to do that, there's gonna be a blue connection right in here. Once that's moved, if it wants to agree with me here, you guys will be able to see there's a screw right in there. You probably can't see it, but I promise you, if you're doing this yourself, you will. So this screw is gonna be a T20. Pretty much all the screws that we're gonna be removing are gonna be T20s, so just keep that in mind. I recommend not using power tools for something like this because you don't want to strip any of these screws. Also, I'd highly recommend a magnetic screwdriver like this one because sometimes it might help you. Just like that, see? Helps you remove the old screws. So now with those screws undone, you guys can already see the paddle shifters are starting to fall apart. But the reason why we did that is so we can access 2 more screws behind each of the paddle shifters. So here's one. So with those now disconnected, we can actually remove those blue cables connecting paddle shifters. So now that the paddle shifter's out, I believe we can actually start removing all of this center trim, which should just be held on by a whole bunch of clips at this point. Again, those 2 screws that we removed behind the paddle shifters were holding it in as well. Those are obviously now gone. So we're just gonna make our way around. All right, so there's still one more thing holding this in, and I believe it's this. You're not gonna be able to see it from this camera angle, but it's the connection, I believe, for the buttons. So just wanna pull that out. It's right over here. You guys will see it once you're doing it yourself. All right, we also still have the heated steering wheel, so let's try to remove that. All right, next we're gonna remove these 3 screws. These ones are actually gonna be T25s. So now we have 4 more screws right in here holding on this top piece. But what I want to do right now is remove this vibrator motor because I'm kind of curious to see what I'm going to do about that because the new steering wheel is not going to maintain this. So I want to see if I can actually disconnect it. All right, looks like we can. So again, unfortunately, we're not going to maintain this. By the way, if you never know how a vibration motor works, if you guys are into video games, your remote controls will have the same thing. Basically just spins, and that's what creates the vibration, which is pretty crazy. We're gonna move on now, and we're gonna remove those 4 screws that I mentioned before, so we can remove this top section. So we did a quick switcheroo. Now let's see, I think this is gonna be one of the hardest parts, is lining up all this stuff and getting it to fit. All right, so I'm gonna do my best here to redo everything that I just undid. I'm not gonna talk about this in detail because I'll be honest with you guys, I might get it wrong. So when you're doing this, just try your best, you know, maybe take some pictures or something. I didn't do that, I should have, but you know, just try to remember where everything goes and just redo it. All right guys, so it's been some time, but I think I finally got everything back in place with the exception of the paddle shifters, which we're gonna have to do at the end. Now, I would like to just take this trim piece and pop it on, but obviously can't do that. We're missing the buttons. So we have to take the buttons from our original piece right over here, and then we're gonna obviously put that on the back of this piece. We just have to deal with this one cable connecting the 2 sets of buttons. All right, well, with that said, take this, put that like that, take this original trim piece, leave it with the original steering wheel. I'm gonna take our new one and let's start routing this and attaching it. All right, so now we're gonna connect this piece on. Before we do that, we're gonna try to connect the button connection because if we don't do that right now, later that's gonna be really hard to reach. All right, with that said, the steering wheel is fully assembled. Now, obviously, we have to put this back inside the car and see if we have any codes because of the vibration motor, because of the heated steering wheel. And hopefully it doesn't reveal that we broke something, because that's never fun. Anyways, so I didn't bother filming the rest of it. I just went ahead and installed the steering wheel back onto the car the same way that I removed this. So you just basically do what you did in the beginning, but in reverse. I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting any codes or that everything was working fine, because if you guys want to do this yourself, I want to make sure, you know, you're not gonna have to worry about those things. But with that said, guys, now that everything works and everything's on, let me show you the final product. And here it is, guys, the custom steering wheel, fully installed on the G80 M3. This looks so good. I'm honestly pleasantly surprised with the way that it came out. The flat bottom, the carbon, the red racing stripe up top, all of it looks really good with the Alcantara that I already have on the car. If you guys have been watching, those two pieces, the knee pads and the armrests, are original and performance BMW. This is obviously an aftermarket piece. And look, I'll be real with you guys, it definitely feels aftermarket. Those other Alcantara pieces feel like top notch, like great quality. This steering wheel, it doesn't feel bad, but you can tell like it's a little more creaky. The fitment isn't 100%. Overall, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 in terms of fitment, but it's nothing that's really gonna be like glaring at you. Like, you really have to look at it to notice those things. There's also one more complaint that I have about the steering wheel, since I'm being honest with you guys, and that is the color. So this Alcantara leans a little more gray as opposed to black. Now, I had a feeling that was gonna happen because, again, aftermarket, right? So that's part of the reason why I got this armrest, because this armrest has black Alcantara, gray, and a whole bunch of different shades, so it helps everything kind of blend in together. But if you guys only have black Alcantara, or if you really just want black Alcantara, this is more gray. But just keep that in mind. I think even on video, I'm like looking at the camera and in person, on camera it looks more gray, but in person it doesn't actually look that bad. Again, overall it helps like everything blend in having this armrest, so to me it still looks good. Otherwise, guys, I think the steering wheel looks really cool. It just makes the car feel so much more aggressive. The red racing stripe, the flat bottom, obviously it also has the carbon, which my car already has, so all blends in really nicely. I personally reused my original paddle shifters, but like I said, when you guys get the steering wheel with the carbon, you will get carbon paddle shifters. But yeah, overall, guys, like, look at this. It looks so much better. It makes this car feel more like a race car, having, I mean, one, my carbon bucket seats, but now having all this Alcantara around the car, it just feels more like a supercar sedan. So again, huge shout out and thank you to Inline 6 Auto for hooking it up with the steering wheel. But anyways, with that said, that pretty much wraps up this video. So if you guys enjoyed it, please drop it a like. Again, go check out those links down in the description below. And yeah, with that said, this video is pretty much done, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.